Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into Moose Motion. During this video today, I'm happy to say we'll be finishing off Godzilla today. And be sure to like the video if you enjoyed the content, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new, because this has been the most challenging project for me to this day. So to start off this Godzilla project today, we'll be painting these spikes, one could say. Now, I do say these spikes were definitely the most challenging part of this project, I say, because I think I totally spent over a week on them, one could say. Not to mention the fact that there's 100 spikes on that back, which is really whack, because, wow, I lost a lot of sleep over that. But once the back spikes are all done, then it's on to some more sculpting fun, where one could say Godzilla will be getting thick today. Because we'll be adding the last layer of clay, you could say, and a lot of details along the way. Now, apart from my little intro poetry fun, we'll be learning some fun facts about Godzilla, so let's get that done. If you don't know already, Godzilla is a pretty strong kaiju. But after watching this video till the end, you will realize he's pretty OP. Today we will cover both attributes seen on and off the screen that will leave your jaw agape. This isn't any ordinary kaiju, so join me as we discover the unknown powers that establish the G-Man as the true king of the monsters. Let's quickly go over some attributes that we already know of, before we start talking about the really weird and freaky ones. We are already aware of Godzilla's atomic breath and atomic pulse abilities. But something interesting to note, in the novelization of Godzilla vs. Kong, we find hints that suggest that Godzilla species acquired this ability from energy sources in the Hollow Earth. This capability to absorb elements to make himself stronger will be important later on in the video. Okay, now let's go over some crazy attributes found in Godzilla. First, let's talk about special water adaptations. Legendary Godzilla is a kaiju that spends most of his time in the water, therefore he has to be built to move through the medium in many different ways. It is said legendary Godzilla can swim up to 69 miles per hour. Moving a 99,000-ton creature through water at such a speed requires immense strength. But we would like to think Godzilla can swim much faster than this. But there's no official data to confirm this. However, what we do know with this one clip of Ghidorah, where he was flying a couple hundred feet above the water's surface and was brought down by Godzilla. In order to accomplish this, Godzilla would have had to have swum fast enough for his entire body to leap out of the water and grab Ghidorah and bring him down into the water. You see, in those clips, the G-Man did in fact have to jump this high, meaning before pouncing out of the surface, Godzilla would have to reach really high swimming speeds to jump this high. This feat is very overlooked, but another interesting method of moving through the water is how Godzilla can literally walk on the ocean floor, similar to how we walk on land. This can be attributed to Godzilla's extremely dense corporal build. A 99,000-ton titan of these proportions would have to have a very dense skeletal structure in order to be able to literally walk underwater. This can probably be attributed to a condition known as osteosclerosis, where animals' bones are so dense they can dive underwater with ease. An animal that was recently discovered with this attribute is the Spinosaurus, which I have probably mentioned more than once on this channel. That is my favorite dinosaur. Furthermore, apart from this thing being able to walk, this thing could manipulate its buoyancy in such a way that allowed it to float, with a lot of its body above the water's surface. As you can see, ladies and gents, Godzilla is pretty one with the ocean. The next weird ability we will be discussing is something more offensive-driven, which is weaponized dorsals. Yes, we have already seen Godzilla use his dorsals as a weapon. Now, believe it or not, Godzilla is actually seen making sure these things are battle ready. For those of you who aren't aware yet, this maneuver is used when Godzilla levers his sharp tips of his dorsals and uses them to inflict deep cuts into his enemies or enemy vessels, known as the dorsal slice. These were so useful, even the Kong species were found to use them as valuable tools, and were so resistant that they were even found to withstand a vertical drop from many thousands of feet in the air. But in order to keep these things in pristine shape, the G-Man was actually seen sharpening these things, using special stones found in the depths of the earth. That's right, in Godzilla Dominion, we see the G-Man pushing through tunnels that he would use to hone and sharpen these spikes, keeping them sharp and ready for action. And seeing how it's worth mentioning, it's probably obvious they were getting a little dull from certain falls. In order to use any of these weapons effectively, however, Godzilla would rely on another ability that would allow him to see even without his sight. In other words, alternative wayfinding. In Godzilla Dominion, we witness a couple of incidents where Godzilla had to resort to different types of vision. In this incident, Titanus Tiamat spouted corrosive acid from its mouth, causing Godzilla to be temporarily blinded. But it's mentioned Godzilla could still tell where Tiamat was, thanks to his thermal imaging capabilities. In order for this to work, Godzilla would have to be able to detect the infrared waves that came from the other kaiju. This way, even if his eyes can't see anything, these thermal receptors can build an image based off the heat emitted by anything in front of him. This ability allows Godzilla not only to detect his enemy, but allows him to study it as well. Early in this comic, we see Godzilla use this ability to determine exactly why Scylla was attacking the coast. It was able to detect the Titan, its intentions, and exactly what it was after. By collecting all of this data using this ability, Godzilla was able to develop the right strategy to defeat this Titan, and avoid accidentally detonating the bomb and killing the surrounding lifeforms while fighting Scylla. As you can see, Godzilla just seems to get more and more interesting. But we're not done with Godzilla's overpowered senses. So let's talk about these advanced sensory capabilities. Earlier in this video, we brought up the fact that Godzilla can absorb a lot of different elements that can reinforce his arsenal of abilities. But there's something else he absorbed. You'll recall in 2019, during the Battle of Boston, it was Mothra that sacrificed herself in order to save the G-Man, and helped him to achieve a thermal nuclear state. But that's not all. This went as far as granting the G-Man some abilities that Mothra previously possessed. In Dominion, it's implied that Mothra passed down some crazy sensory abilities to Godzilla. He can now detect when the clouds are full of water and the change in tides. I'm just gonna mention, detecting whether or not the clouds are full of water is a bit of a stupid capability, because, well, I can do the same thing. Are they gray and looming low? Well, there you go. He can even feel the Earth's magnetic field to protect the Earth from solar flares. This will also go as far as being able to detect the different levels of entropy around the world, how fast things can decay, senses of climate changes around the planet, as well as rainy seasons and droughts. These are all attributes of a benevolent Mothra, the embodiment of Mother Nature. But this was now passed down to the G-Man himself. You may think Godzilla can't get any more overpowered, but you're wrong. Omniscient nature. The word omniscient means to be aware and know everything at any point in time. Godzilla just so happens to be able to detect every single Titan on the surface of the Earth now. In the graphic novel, this is illustrated by some form of energy going to and from all directions of the world. We are not literally implying that you can see these lightning beams as illustrated in the comic, but in a way, this is a method of representing what happens before our eyes once Godzilla decides to check up on any other kaijus on the planet. Granted, it is also implied this ability can only be used in certain locations in the world. But by using this, Godzilla can easily see any suspicious Titan activity. From this point on, all Titans of the world had better watch out not to make Godzilla angry, or they will have it coming. Do you think Godzilla will get any more abilities in the future? Let me know in the comments below, because that concludes all of our fun facts for Godzilla during this video. Now, speaking of comments, I'm going to be addressing some here and new powers of Godzilla as well, from the last video in particular. And for those of you who, well, perhaps just tuning in and or unaware of the whole situation, basically Godzilla has a, well, history that I was kind of, unfortunately, a little unaware of. I was aware that he had some association with atomic testing, but not to the extent that he's portrayed as. Like, wow, oh boy. So basically, during part 2, I went over the history of 1954 Godzilla, which is the one that I'm basically basing this sculpture off of. And for obviously my regular viewers, yes, I'm renowned for doing fart cartoons, but for those of you who perhaps are new, this is, well, yeah, new information to you. I am fairly renowned, apparently, for doing dinosaur and dragon fart cartoons now on YouTube. So, I came up with the idea that it would be fairly humorous to have Godzilla with a new power, basically. Known as the Atomic Fart Blast, because, well, I just figured that was way too funny to pass up, but given the fact that his history is a direct, representation of the atom bomb, I was kind of going, oh boy, maybe hit the brakes on this might be a bad idea. However, my viewers weren't so happy, to say the very least.
Hello, don't be afraid. I am the cure.
No. So, upon receiving close to 50 plus comments on that video, which I think is a record for this channel, to be honest, which thank you everyone for, well, giving me your feedback, but yeah, so caused me to basically do some thinking, and I think I came up with a happy medium that will make everybody happy. So essentially, I didn't want to make a senseless fart cartoon out of Godzilla considering his past history. So I spent a day or two basically brainstorming of different ideas of how I could make this essentially fart power work, and I think I came up with a solution. So the good news is, I don't want to give too much away here obviously, but the good news is everyone, you will be getting your atomic fart blast from Godzilla's anus. So basically, I have an idea that will be able to give a message in a positive way whilst giving Godzilla some rather unique powers. Now, with all that being said, that also means I will be doing some Godzilla testing very, very soon, so you have that to look forward to. Now, a quick overview of this project as a whole. Considering this video is now about to wrap up, I just have to say, oh my Godzilla. This was challenging, probably one of the hardest projects I have ever done in my 25 plus years of sculpting experience. Mainly due to, well, those backplates. Oh my god, I think I miss feathers at this point more than ever in my life, and I never thought I'd be saying that so much, ever. So, just to put the backplates into perspective, I probably spent well over a week in total just working on those, not to mention every other detail and aspect of the sculpture. So, yeah, this was difficult, and I lost a lot of sleep over this project, to be very honest, and I normally don't ask this much, but please, please, please be sure to like the video if you enjoyed the content, because yeah, this was not easy, and for any of you who are trying to make your own Godzilla, good luck. It's not exactly easy. I've come across quite a few new content creators that like to make Godzillas, and wow, hat off goes to you guys. This is a challenge. Now, that all being said, I must admit I've really enjoyed this project and would like to do a lot more like this in the future. So if you have any suggestions for future monsters, let me know in the comments below. And quick shout out to Dragon Boy 2682, who happens to also make Godzilla claymation, so be sure to go check out his channel, guys. Definitely some pretty cool kaiju fights, and I'm looking forward to doing some of my own someday soon. Anyway, with all that said, it's time to leave you guys to the beauty shots, because I need to go to bed. And there, thank you for sticking around to the very end of the video. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the content, comment below what you think, share with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new. Anyway, that's it from me. Till next time, take it easy.